Today is another good day to talk about Cardiff. And when you talk about Cardiff, I have to say, I think Cardiff has only one problem that nobody can fix. Yes, I said it. Nobody can fix this problem, is that it rains a lot, like almost every time. And you're thinking, well, it couldn't be that bad. It is that bad. It is. It's just, I mean, every time you go there, it just rains. I probably just picked the wrong day to go. But anyway, it just seems like, every time you get to summer or even winter, it's like, oh, now the sun is going to shine all over the UK. It goes from London, goes all the way up, and then gets to Bristol, crosses the bridge, and it's like, nah, I need to rain. And the rain, it just rains. yeah. I think that is one of the things. It is depressing, actually, when it rains too much. In as much as I like good rain when it rains sometimes, because it's been very hot. But then it's not something people complain about, that, ooh, it's too hot in Cardiff. No, none of that stuff. Anyway. So, talking about some of the things that people like, and I think everyone will be unanimous with this, that just the weather is not great. But it's not all that bad when you think about it. There are good things about Cardiff that we can talk about. For example, people said the people are friendly. I think that's a good one, because think about it. There've been people who have gone to Egypt, and they say, like, the country, the pyramids are great, all that, but the people are not that great, and some of the interactions have been really awful. And some women have said, don't even go there. I'm not going back, because it's just harassment and all these other things. So yes, you could have sunshine, but if you don't have people, friendly people, or nice people, it just makes the whole experience not great. So I think for that, I would give thumbs up to Cardiff for that, because the town centre is nice, and just it's all laid back and chilled, and yes, it's not as busy as the neighbour on the other side called Bristol. It's just like anytime you visit, you need to compare Cardiff to something. You need to choose Bristol as the scapegoat. Anyway, so the people are friendly. I think that's a good thing. And also, when you're in the centre, you can... another thing which I think is great. If you've been to Bristol, you notice something that it's like you need to walk up and then come down and then up. I could remember we had to go to the hotel, and the hotel was on the other side, and we couldn't figure it out even with Google Maps. And then we took public transport, because that's what you're supposed to do. And we got there, and it was, it's only about 25 minutes walk, and you have your bag and you're dragging that along. We had to go through this park and walk up. It was endless. We were just exhausted by the time we got to the other side, that then it was time to go back into the center and do some things that tourists do, and you're like, no, I'll just take Uber. Yes, I'll contribute to global warming for this one. We were really tired. You don't get that in Cardiff. It's a good thing. It's flat, so it means you can just get on your bike and just ride around. Of course, be careful where you leave your bike. You don't want it to be stolen, because that's another thing that can happen. You see, it's a global phenomenon. People love bikes. Anyway, so that's one thing I think that Cardiff has got going for it. It's flat, and I think that's a good thing. It's got some lovely parks as well. The funny thing, I don't know, I think this also contributes to the weather. So if it's rainy and cloudy, people just don't want to go out. It's just not great. So the parks are great. You can walk around. There's a park just behind the museum. That was also great. And then if you go towards the the river. It's not riverfront. It's just the waterside where the town hall and all these sort of fancy buildings are. It's really nice over there. You've got a lot of restaurants, and I think the place must have been recently done up because it's all nice and clean. And then on the other side, you have a park, and you can leave your car there, and then just walk around. It's just nice. So that part of it, I think it's a good thing. But when you walk in, you just notice, where's everybody? Because you hear, oh, a lot of homeless people in Cardiff, so it's not great. And you were thinking, well, it's not as if it's an expensive city, so why are there so many homeless people? Well, jobs and all that stuff, and people probably with other mental issues that they have to deal with. But anyway, where's everybody? And then it's funny is that when you get to the other side of the museum going towards the universities, there's loads and loads of students going up and down doing what students do. And then the nightlife is great, but the weather sometimes is like I don't think it would be really depressing if the sun doesn't shine in Cardiff. It's just that sometimes you choose the wrong day to visit, and then, well, tough luck. So if you like rugby, it's a nice place. They've got the funny things. I could imagine what it would be like on match day when people coming out of the rugby stadium that's just really close to the center. It must be packed. But I could also imagine it would be good because people are having a good time and they're spending their money buying beers and just enjoying the town center. So that's a good thing, I think, in my opinion, where you have all those linked together. But then it can be crowded. People have said, well, when those events are in town, it gets a bit crazy, and then littering, pollution and all that stuff. But I don't know how they managed it because it's probably going to be really chaotic, and because you've got the public parking, but also is that the public transportation in and out of Cardiff isn't that great. But so I can imagine when people come, you'd probably need to come in your own car, and then it's going to be a pain getting out of town once the match is over. But anyway, it's one of those things. But people also say homeless people begging on the side of the street is a problem. I didn't see much of that when I visited. Probably the weather as well, because you can imagine if when the weather is better, most people are a bit in a more joyful, given spirit. And then they're more likely to just see you there and then give you something. If it's raining and gloomy, it's just that everyone is just depressed. And, everyone walking around and thinking, I just need to get to where I'm going. No one, basically the pace is a bit faster, and people are not really just strolling around and enjoying the atmosphere because of the weather. So that is not a good thing. But all in all, I think the city centre is great, but something else someone mentioned is that Cardiff, because being the capital of Wales, that it's got nice cuisine. I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm not. You see, all right. Now, the problem here is this, that a lot of people make fun of the British cuisine or the UK cuisine, thinking, what do you think? This is not like Michelin star food. What's it called? You have Sunday roast. Oh, we had I think very close to Bristol, we went to a restaurant on the seaside and they had this Sunday roast, and we thought, oh, let's just take two. We didn't know it was going to be massive. They just served us this. It was so big. We saw the first plate, we just went to the kitchen or the counter and said, oh, can we cancel this next one, because even this one we're not going to be able to finish it. It was big. Anyway, so the Sunday roast, I actually enjoyed the Sunday roast. It's just like, it's not, I think this is one of the problems. We'll get back to Cardiff and Welsh cuisine in a minute, but this is one of the problems when people are trying to make fun of British cuisine, that it's not that great, and then that's why they had to go to India and import all these nice curry and all this spicy food, because the food wasn't great. But I think the British food, the problem is probably just not the food itself. I think it's the presentation. It's not refined. It's just like, you want to eat, we give you food. Take this. And blam on the table. Eat that, and you eat and you're satisfied. And then you have mince pie, you have fish and chips, which is like a staple, cod, and all that, battered cod. So all those things can be really nice if they're presented in the French way. Because if you've ever been to any fancy restaurant, you just think, well, massive plate with two peas on the plate, that's not, they said, well, you don't know what you're talking about. This is refined cuisine. They're not even calling it food, it's cuisine. So when you hear cuisine, you think, oh, I'm going to be broke by the time I leave this restaurant. Anyway, so back to Cardiff and Welsh food, that a lot of people actually don't really, because what's the word, appreciate Welsh food, because it's not one of those that a lot of people, it's not well promoted, put it that way. So what people end up doing is, just if you're not local to the area, you end up just eating the same thing and not really trying out all the other food that are available in the country. So I think this, if that's promoted, apparently there are some really nice, interesting food. You see, I'm not using cuisine, I'm saying food in Wales and Welsh food, traditional food. But I think part of the problem is also because, compared to England, Wales is much smaller, and it doesn't project itself that much outside of the of Wales. So a lot of people are not really familiar with the game, the food, the traditions. Most people will probably go and say, "Oh, I'm going to the Snowdon. What's the mountains range? I can't remember." Anyway, so in Wales there are some really nice places there, and then you go to a pub, you have the meal, but oftentimes you end up eating the same thing based on the English influence on Welsh and the Welsh tradition and food. So most people haven't tried that, but I would imagine, I haven't tried it, I would love to. Maybe I should make that, put that on the to-do list. Next time you go into Wales, make sure you eat traditional Welsh food. But that said, something else is that anytime someone says, I could remember when we were in Ireland and we stayed at a bed and breakfast, and the woman was like, "Oh, would you like to try full Irish?" I'm like, "Oh, say that again. Of course I want to try full Irish." Oh, that's a breakfast, by the way, before you start getting any ideas. Full Irish. Okay, and we tried it. I prefer the English breakfast, the full Irish. It's very similar, but I think I prefer the English food. And then the next day she was like, "Oh, did you like it?" And we said, "Well, it was interesting." "Oh, okay. So what would you like? Another full Irish?" We said, "No, we just have toast, croissant." And she was pissed. She was not happy. She's like, "Well, you think I can't cook? Well, it's got nothing to do with that. It's an acquired taste. It's either you like it or not." But anyway, yeah, food can be rather controversial. To get to the point is that sometimes you could have mince pie or any other of these things that are called traditional food or Welsh traditional meals, but it also has to be well prepared, because sometimes even if you're Welsh, it doesn't mean you can do it justice. And I think that is the other thing. It goes for the same thing. You go to a fish and chip shop and then you're thinking, "Yeah, I'm not coming back here." It's this, it just doesn't taste great. So, but then you go to other places, you think they've got it all sorted. This is nice, I like it. So I think that's another problem with going to Cardiff, that if you're going to go to the traditional meal road, you need to make sure you're eating it in the right place, and it's done right, so that you can probably enjoy it, and then you wouldn't say, "Oh, well, I don't like Welsh food." Anyway, So, yes, I think all in all is to say, yeah, Cardiff is good, but the weather is such a big problem, and it is the biggest problem, in my opinion, because then it's not something you can change. And because of that, the weather actually affects the mood. If you've ever been to, if you go, for example, to the Lake District, and then it's all nice, green, but if it rains and it's just really, you probably just, it rains, you spend the rest of the day in a pub getting wasted. All right, that's enough for today.